Hi, this is Linda Ferguson. I've been doing a series on emotional intelligence. This is the fifth part and the fifth video in this series. The first four videos were on self-awareness, self-regulation, self-motivation, empathy, and now finally we're going to talk about how is our feelings and our needs connected and the strategies that we can use to meet our needs so that we can build more effective relationships. All of this allows us through emotional intelligence to find greater ease to move through the stresses and the challenges in our life. I'm going to base a lot of the ideas in this video on the work of Marshall Rosenberg and his nonviolent communication process. You can learn more about NVC on their website, cnvc.org. I invite you to look at their videos and buy their books. I've used NVC now for about 5 years, and it's really made a big difference in my relationships and in helping me move through the stressors in my life. I was part of a practice group, and I invite you to join a practice group if the ideas here speak to you. So let me share a few of the key insights and the big ahas that I got from working this nonviolent communication process. The first big insight I got is that our feelings tell us something about our underlying needs and whether those needs are being met or not being met. This was really big for me because it's not just about being aware of what our feelings are, but allowing our feelings to tell us more about what's the underlying needs that are going on for us. Rosenberg talks about our feelings as being that indicator light, like that oil, check oil, or your gas is low in your car light. It's an indicator that there's something else going on. So if we want to shift through our emotions, what we need to do is to pay attention to what are the needs underlying them that either are or are not being met. He talks about those positive emotions that we experience when our needs are met. So those positive emotions of joy, of peace, of pleasure, of comfort, satisfaction, those all arise because our needs are met. The quote-unquote negative emotions that we have, worry, doubt, concern, fear, anxiety, come from our needs not being met, or potentially our perception that our needs are not being met or that they won't be met in the future. So when we understand those underlying needs, it allows us to shift through the emotions that we have. Rosenberg identifies some broad categories of needs: our security, need for love, need for personal growth, need for recreation, need for beauty and harmony, and that everybody has these basic universal needs. Everybody across all cultures, ages, they're all basic needs of what makes us human. So we can understand how our feelings connect with our needs and what the needs tell us that we want to shift so that we can meet them, so that we can then change our feelings. Then the next piece, this was another big aha for me, is not only that our feelings connect with our needs, but that the needs that we have get met or don't get met through the strategies that we use. This was big for me. Everybody uses strategies to meet our needs. We all do it, and we use the strategies that have worked in the past. Now, with some people or in some situations, those strategies may not work. We might have to develop new strategies. The other big insight and aha for me is that every strategy that we use usually has a cost and has a consequence. So you might be asking, well, what does she mean by strategies? So let me give you a couple examples. We might manipulate other people, intimidate other people. We might blame and shame other people as a strategy. Maybe we kill people with kindness. We ingratiate and we use a lot of praise. So there's lots of different strategies that we can use to meet our needs. And we keep using those same strategies because they keep working. But they may have a cost, and so we might want to look at how we can shift our strategies. Let me give you a typical example. Let's say I'm annoyed and frustrated because I'm constantly going into the kitchen and there's dishes that are dirty and people are leaving food out, and it's just a constant source of annoyance for me in my life. If I want to create greater peace and harmony in my life, I may want to shift my strategies for getting my need for orderliness and cleanliness met. So I could come into the kitchen and do my usual thing, which is to yell and scream and blame and shame and get my kids to get into order, or get my spouse or my parents to change what they're doing by intimidation or whatever other strategy that I use, manipulation, whatever. And maybe in the short term they come and they take care of the dishes and they put the food away. But they're probably going to grumble, and maybe over the long term they're just going to tune me out, oh, that's mom being a nag again. Or they might just really resent the fact that I'm just constantly crabbing at them. So I might be doing damage in the long run, and I'm going to pay a price for that strategy. If I want to shift gears and have my needs met in an easier way, I might want to choose a different strategy. So the NVC model is built on some of the ideas we talked about earlier, which is to use I statements. So I could walk into the kitchen and I could be in that place of awareness and observe the behaviors and say, you know, when I come into the kitchen and I see dishes being left and I see food on the counter and not put away, I feel really angry and annoyed because my need for orderliness and cleanliness is not being met. Then the last piece, which is I think a very insightful one, is the request. That's where the strategies come in. Could you please, within 10 minutes of finishing your meal, put the food and the dishes away? It's a request. It's not a demand. This is a big piece that Rosenberg talks about. And again, all of the things that I'm sharing here are just a real short summary of the NVC ideas. But you make a request, and the other person has an option to either do it or not do it. That's part of the strategies. What are the strategies that I'm going to use to help my needs get met? But I also want to ensure that my needs get met in a way that you also feel good about getting your needs met. And you might say to me, yeah, I can do that, and grumble. Or you might negotiate. We can then negotiate a strategy. Well, I wanted to watch TV, and can I do it in a half an hour, right? And now we have a dialogue, and now we have an opportunity to make sure that both of our needs get met. I found using NVC, and particularly dovetailing it with some of the ideas of emotional intelligence, and allowing me to understand what my emotions are and what my needs are. When I've learned about the strategies that I use, that's really helped me shift through my emotions and create much more peaceful relationships. It's helped me find greater joy, greater compassion, greater empathy, both for myself and for those people who are important in my life. You can use this at work, you can use this at home. There's so many places where you can use this model. I invite you to just pay attention to when your feelings come up. Think about what needs are and are not being met in that situation. And then pay attention to the strategies that you're using to meet your needs. And are you allowing and supporting somebody else to meet their needs? And what strategies are they using? I invite you to have a dialogue with those people that you care about. See if you can practice using this in your family and in your work. Thank you for attending my series on emotional intelligence. I hope you found some ideas and some tools here that will be useful for you. If you'd like to learn more about my work, please go to my website, www.lindajferguson.com. On my website, you'll see other videos, audio, tips, interviews, meditations, and you'll also see my writing and my blog posts. I invite you to find that balance and that wholeness and that peace in your life. Bright blessings on your journey.